Yeah, Jack, congratulations first of all. We're going to keep this bit as brief as we can because we want to get a bit more of you outside. I know you've got to get to meet the lads. So just first of all, congratulations. How do you feel?
Yeah, thank you, Gary. Very, very proud moment for me, for my family. Massive, massive honour. I feel really honoured. Maybe it hasn't sunk in just yet, but I know about this club. I started here. I've had a connection with them for many, many years. Recently, going back to train. But yeah, I'm really excited and really honoured.
Yes, full circle almost, isn't it? 9 years old, I think you were when you were last at Luton as a very, very young player.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, you're wrong, Gary.
Oh.
In 2021, I came back to train. So when I left West Ham, I came back. Nathan Jones kindly invited me back, and I trained here. And it was actually, I loved every. It was a season, the start of the season where we got promoted to the Premier League, and I really wanted to be part of it. But actually, it probably is the reason why I've started thinking about coaching. The intensity that Nathan would bring and the intensity around the training ground and the staff had. I wanted to be part of it, but unfortunately my body said no. So even that, I think, is quite a nice thing that it made me think, well, actually I probably can't compete at the same level that I want to, and I have to think about something else. But yeah.
Is that why it seemed to have been quite a straightforward process as far as you're concerned? It's happened very quickly, so it must have been something that you wanted to do if you could make it happen. There was no difficulty in persuading you, in other words.
Yeah, no, of course. And as soon as the opportunity came up, I was excited. I spoke to Gary first. Gary was excited. We were both excited, and the process has been really good. And I think good for both of us, because probably got to know me a little bit more. I got to know a little bit more about what's happening in the club, and it was very good. It was intense at times, but I've enjoyed it.
Obviously, you had a couple of games in charge of Norwich at the end of last season. They went well, undefeated. And obviously you've been in and around Arsenal during Mikel Arteta's reign in a coaching capacity, and worked, of course, under one of the greatest managers ever, Arsene Wenger. Do you feel you're ready now to be a head coach?
Listen, I've said before many times that I don't want people to think about my playing career. There's many things that I can use from my playing career, my experiences with different coaches, good, bad, and try and make me the coach I am today. But the first week at Arsenal when I was there with the 18s, I quickly realised that this is something that I'm going to have to get better at. Being a good player doesn't make you a good coach. There's many things that are quite different, and you have to understand that. You have to understand how the club works internally. And I wanted to be clear that I didn't want to step to a first team until I was ready to do that. I wanted to learn about it. I mean, I did, and then I went to Norwich, and that taught me so much. It taught me so much, and I was in the real world. I was competing for 3 points. It wasn't always easy as well. We had a tough spell. So yeah, of course, all them experiences, and as a player as well. But now this is a new Jack Wilshere, a different Jack Wilshere, who is hungry to achieve great things, and so grateful to Gary and the club for giving me that opportunity.
Two more from me, one to you, one to Gary. Is Gary taking a risk? Are Luton taking a risk, do you feel? A lot of people looking on say you're very inexperienced, Luton want to get back into the Championship. What have you said to Gary to reassure him that you can bring, hopefully, the playoffs, if not better?
Yeah, well, I'm sure Gary can answer this better than me, but whenever he hires a manager, there's probably an element of risk. I made it pretty clear to Gary and all the staff here, which I think is important, because it does feel like a family, and Gary wasn't the only one who needed convincing. It was a real unity in the staff that I felt. But I think my experience as a player, I've thought about this a lot when people ask about experience. I think very important. Chris Powell will be next to me, but also my experience of being in top environments, high pressure environments, since I was 16 really. I think that experience is very beneficial. Of course, there's different challenges, and I've had really good experience of coaching so far, and I've had some tough experiences as well. So there'll be many more new experiences, but I think the most important thing is, am I ready for this? Yes. Am I ambitious? Yes. Do I want to achieve great things with Luton, get back to the championships, and really make that clear. Yes, and I feel like I'm ready.
Gary, I'm just asking you the same question. Do you feel it's a risk at all, and what was it, apart from words like that that made you give Jack the chance?
Yeah, I'm glad Jack raised the point that every managerial position appointment is actually always a risk. Actually, whether there's experience or not experience, and we actually in this process we looked at several sort of profiles of managers, including experience and very ambitious, and we've settled on Jack because we feel it is actually, yes, while risk is always attached, we feel it's a very safe pair of hands, to be fair. The process was rigorous, and Jack impressed greatly with his maturity and his knowledge of the game, and his passion came through. That was one of the things that we want actually our players, our staff, and our supporters particularly to love the game. I think Jack's love of the game really shone through that. And an interesting little bit of data that we discovered in this process as well is that in the last 5 years there are 8 managers that have been appointed in League One with no management experience at all. 4 of them got promoted. So in so many ways, actually, that fresh energy and that fresh approach from somebody without experience can certainly go in your favour, and particularly, and it's a tried and trusted model that we've had before. It's a principle that we've often used, but particularly when that's attached to somebody as experienced as Chris Powell, who can come in and help the club achieve, or Jack particularly achieve, what he wants to.
Right, interesting point. Obviously, a couple of seasons ago, you were in the Premier League. Luton was a great story. Everybody's second club. Life goes on for you day in, day out, even in League One. But I guess some of the spotlight has come off you a little bit inevitably because you're down in League One now. Jack coming obviously puts the spotlight back on Luton to a certain extent. Was that part of the thing?
We have our own spotlight, our own pressures, and so yeah, look, we don't mind if the spotlight's on or off. We welcome it when we have Jack here, and certainly that will be the case, definitely. But we're always an interesting story. It's always a roller coaster ride over the annals of time of Luton Town Football Club since time began. It's always been a roller coaster ride here. What we've got to make sure is they're actually right at the bottom and we're pointing in the right direction now.
Thank you.
Jack, just from your experience at Norwich, is there anything you take away from that which you go into this role, or is it a clean start for you?
No, there's many things that I learned there that will help me massively. I said to Gary and everyone from the start of this, and I was clear with my journey and what I wanted and how I wanted it to feel and look. But if I didn't have that Norwich experience, I wouldn't be sat here. I truly believe that. I learned so much in the academy, and I learned how I see the game and little details around that. But then actually, when you step into the real life, which we're in now, you don't have different things thrown at you, and you have to take them in and learn. And as I said before, it was at times difficult. There was some tough moments through the second half of last season. But actually, when you're in that and you're feeling it, and selfishly, I wasn't the head coach, so I could step back a little bit and look at him and how he sort of managed them situations. I learned so much, and some of that stuff will be coming for sure.
We'll move on to the written now then. Sam, Matt, Tom, anybody want to kick us off?
Hello, Jack.
Hi.
What will the Jack Wilshere team look like? What do you want a Jack Wilshere team to look like?
So I obviously have an idea of in possession, out possession, and these are things that we'll talk about with the players and the coaches, and we'll try and implement them. I am very aware of where we're at, how the group feel probably at the moment. As Gary said, in the Premier League and then falling down, that can be tough. So before anything, I think we need to see a team that is fighting, that we can connect with the fans, we can get the fans on our side, we can use that energy at home, we can be aggressive on the front foot, and we have to build that. We have to build confidence, we have to build belief, and then we can start to look at, and you might start to see a little bit more of a Jack Wilshere team. But at the start, I'm convinced that's the way we move forward.
Obviously, you spent so much time at Arsenal in your career, and that's got this association with a certain style of play.
Yeah.
Do you not come in here and promise that kind of football from day one?
Listen, I don't think you can copy and paste. That's for sure as a manager, and that's in terms of on the pitch, but also behaviours and how you act. Like, you are who you are as a coach, and that's important. Of course, I've been, not just the last 3 years, but I spent my life in the academy at Arsenal as well. So I have a way of thinking about the game. Of course, I like the ball and I want to have control of the game, but there's things that you have to do before you can get to that. My coaches over the years say to me, you have to earn the right, and it's probably an old saying in football, but that is still there. You have to earn the right to get the ball. You have to earn the right for the fans to cheer you, and that's something we'll be looking to do from the start.
Gary mentioned your love of the game shining through. You told a few of us a couple of years ago that love of the game kind of dropped off a bit in the last couple of years of your playing career. Just how exciting is it to have that back, and do you feel that a bit like a kid again, like you were when you were 16?
Exactly, and it's actually interesting because probably a lot of the guys have probably been on that journey with me where, as I mentioned, when I was at Luton training, like, I wanted to go and I felt like I could do it, but my body couldn't, and that's a tough place to be as a player. I wanted to dive into something straight away, and I found coaching, and I found a real passion for it, a real hunger for it, and it's like the more you're in it, the more you want to do better and you want to find new things. I said you can't copy and paste, but you can definitely take inspiration from other coaches and try and make it your own. And yeah, it's nice to have that feeling, that hunger back, and it's like the start over again. And I'm definitely ambitious, and I think you guys know me as well. Like, I will try and do everything I can to be successful.
Hi Jack, Tom and the Sun. Can you just tell us a bit more about how you feel like you've been sort of prepping for this role for a considerable amount of time? Back in your playing days, it sounds like you were considering a future in coaching. Can you give us a bit more detail to how you were thinking back then?
Yeah, so unfortunately in my career I had a lot of time where I could sit down and think. Too many injuries which create a different way of thinking. You go through probably cycles as a player where I was fit, injured, and then you have a real focus on I need to get back, and then what you were saying, then you lose a little bit of faith, a little bit of love, and coming here and training, and then realising that I could still do it with the ball, but I couldn't compete physically, and then stepping away from that. I signed for Bournemouth after that, and probably a similar feeling. Obviously then I ended in Denmark, but before that stage I was invited back to train at Arsenal, and I've said it before, I watched Mikel. It reminded me a lot of Eddie Howe, the way that he coached and how he teached and how he had energy to bring players with him, and how the players brought into it. And then I was offered the opportunity to take my first step with the under-18s, and it was something that I was very passionate about. It's my journey as well, coming through that academy, so I felt like, I can get better at the coaching. I understand it, and it's a passion of mine, but I can connect with the players. I can understand what they're feeling. I know their journey they've been on. So I wanted to take that step, and then, as I said, pretty early on, I realised that I'm going to have to get better at this and get comfortable in certain situations, and that's what I've done. And I got my pro licence and went on this amazing journey, which then, when I left Norwich, it felt like it plateaued a bit, and there's things you can do, which I've been doing since I haven't been a club, like meeting people, talking to people, watching games, trying to keep yourself up to date with what's happening in the football world, and always being ready as well. And then I got a call from Gary, and we met, and it went from there, and we started to build momentum, and then we're here today.
It feels like the narrative around fantastic players like yourself turning their hand to management has kind of changed in the last decade or so, where it almost feels like people use it as a negative to try and overcome. Does it add a bit more pressure being such a well-regarded player coming into management?
I think it probably, as Gary said, probably a few more eyes are watching, but I was clear with my journey. And listen, I played with Wayne Rooney, I played with Steven Gerrard, I played with Frank Lampard, and they've all gone on their different journeys. But what I thought was important for me was actually like stepping back and looking at their journeys and how they ended up. And listen, I'm sure that they'll go on and have different experiences as well. But I was clear with my journey that I wanted to be competent and be completely comfortable with everything that I need to be in terms of environment, in terms of how I see the game, in terms of how I'll talk to the players, how I manage the players. And I'm happy with the journey I've been on. And listen, people will judge ex-players as probably a little bit of the personality of the player, plus now the coach. Like, I want to be clear that the player is, like, yeah, I can use them experiences, as I said, but now I'm a coach, and please judge me like that.
You talked about some of your ex-teammates there. I don't know if you saw the interview or chat that Rio and Mikel Arteta had recently, and they were talking about coaching at a lower level, having played at a top level. You said earlier that top level experience would be really useful, but I suppose the argument they were having was it's so different at League One compared to Premier League level. How are you going to be able to go in and adjust? How do you see that challenge?
Well, the difference for me is the quality. So there's things in the Premier League that you'll see in League One that you have to do. As I said, you have to compete, you have to run, you have to fight, you have to win duels. We're in League One. My job is to try and improve the players so we can add that quality as well as all the other stuff, all the intensity and everything. And then we make them better as players to take the next step. And we can get to that step, and then we can look at it again. I always said, like, because I played against lower league teams in competitions. I played in the Championship as well. The difference for me is the speed of the game. So if you give a League One player time and space, he's going to be able to turn, he's going to be able to play a through ball, he's going to be able to hurt people. And for me, it's about being able to do that and create moments where we can practice that and keep adding the intensity that the Premier League will bring us eventually, or the Championship will bring us. But we have to improve the quality, we have to improve on the ball and try and build from there.
And you mentioned Nathan Jones quite a few years ago, he was Mikel as well. Can you give us one bit of advice that you've been given from a previous manager that's really sort of hit home with you now that you're on this job?
Yeah, there's a few. I'll say Mikel, when I spoke to him. Not about this, it was about maybe a year ago or something. I said to him, Mikel, when did you know you was ready? And he laughed. And I was like, what are you laughing at? He said, you just have to jump in and swim as hard as you can. And he's obviously done that really well, and I was close to that. You know, this feels a little bit similar to that. Of course, it's a different level, but you know, when Mikel went in, it wasn't a nice place at Arsenal. Like, it was a little bit. The fans were not sure what was happening, and what he'd done was he built a complete unity, a complete trust in what he was doing, and very family, feels like the family here as well, and getting people on board, and that's it. Getting people to believe and convincing them, and yeah, Mikel was good at that, and there's definitely things I'll take from him on his journey.
Is he someone that you can lean on? I mean, obviously he's very busy with his job, but I mean, is he someone that he said, if you want to advise?
Yeah, Mikel has always, since I was at Arsenal, I was lucky that I was close to him, but you know, there used to be times, and probably because of our relationship, I'm not sure it's that normal that an under-18 manager can go into the head coach's office, but yeah, he was great, and he still will be.
Chris Powell coming into the system, he's someone who's played for England, had an amazing career, but also has managed at lower league with Southend, for example, and was at Charlton. What can he? How can he help?
He's going to be a big help to me. There's things, you know, when we talk about experience, and there are some things that you can't get without actually going through it and living it and feeling it, and there's probably no one better in the country in English football than Chris Powell to understand that. And I said to Gary, he's probably forgotten more than most of us know about football. So his know-how, his experience, his presence at the training ground. You know, I spoke to Chris last year. We played against Sheffield Wednesday. I was at Norwich, went into the manager's room after. And Danny Roll weren't in there actually, but Chris was there, and we were chatting. And you know, I spent probably 10 minutes talking to Chris, and all Chris done to me was tell me how good Danny Roll was, and I just thought, like, what a guy. Like, Danny's not here, he's talking to me about him, telling me he's good at this, telling me he's good at that. And yeah, when Gary mentioned him to me, I had a little smile, and we've had some conversations since, and we're going to build that relationship even more.
Tom, maybe actually it's a good idea if Chris can come and join us actually.
Do you mind, Matt from the Daily Mail, do you mind if I ask, have you found opportunity hard to come by? Have you been knocking on doors since Norwich, or have you been sort of waiting, biding your time?
Yeah, good question. I think I haven't been been crazy and throwing myself into different things and like, I want that, and I haven't done that. I think naturally, because it was my first time where I've sort of been a coach, and then all of a sudden you find yourself out of a job, you're not coaching. As I said, on the journey that I was on in them 3 years, I wanted to continue that. So I was seeking ways to find that, different ways, speaking to coaches, spending time with coaches. But I feel, yeah, probably there is a feeling of that without actually being true. Like, I think naturally I felt like, I want to get an opportunity, and it feels like it is difficult. And I said that to Gary and the guys throughout the whole process. Like, I'm very grateful for that, because it feels like that's what I needed. That's what any young coach needs, in my opinion, is first of all an opportunity and then support. And I definitely feel like I've got that here.
And can you give us an idea of what you've been doing a little bit more since Norwich, and how it feels when you're outside the game? I would think it'd be easy for you to get TV work, but you look like you've committed yourself to this side of football.
Yeah, so when I left Norwich, I finished my pro licence, so I had a nice couple of weeks at St George's Park. That was actually really nice, because like, you spend time with managers, with coaches, with good people, and actually during the whole pro licence, like, all these guys, they're working, they're in it, they're asked to come away for a few days, so you don't really get that. So then that week was nice, where you could talk to people that have experienced management, Championship, League One, all of them things. And then I actually had a 4-week holiday, which I've never had. I went away with the kids. It was the first time really I've been off in their summer holidays. That was nice, a bit strange at times.
Where'd you go?
Went to Cyprus. It was when the season started, so I was a little bit like, well, this doesn't feel right. But actually, when I look back, it was nice to spend time with the kids. And then when I came back, just trying to keep myself busy. I'm lucky that I've got relationships with good coaches out there, and that are very open. I built relationships with them. I've been having conversations with them. I coached my my son's under 14s team. I coached under 6s on Saturday. So I've been there or thereabouts, just trying to keep myself going. And I definitely feel like this has come at a good time, and I'm ready for it.
Hi Jack. I was just going to ask, in terms of a word both you and Gary mentioned earlier, energy. It feels like before the football's even kind of thought of, that's something that's quite big for you. And with the Norwich job, the interim job last year, it seemed like not exactly the same, but similar kind of circumstances when you came in. And I think music played quite a big role for you. So I was just wondering how you look to kind of turn the energy around in your way.
I mean, giving my secrets away now. Yeah, I think there's loads of things we can do. I think people talk about energy, and it's like an energy, it's a belief. And to give players belief, I think they need clarity. I think they need to be clear with what they're doing. I think there needs to be an environment that training is good, training is fun. If you're enjoying training, naturally it becomes competitive. We need to be competitive with Luton. That's what Luton's about. The fans, they want to see that. So there's loads of things we can do and talk about, but we need to feel the group as well. We need to feel where they're at. You know, the key players, the experienced players. That, as I said before, like, the beautiful thing in my opinion is you've got players that have been on that journey. So what is it then? What is it actually that got us there? That it's inside of you, and I need to speak to them. I need to feel that, and and then we can work out what type of music we're going to play.
In terms of those more human soft skills, how do you go about developing those as a coach? Because I think everyone will focus on what happens on the pitch, but when you're here every day, I guess it's those things that are more important.
Yeah, I think, there's many things, as I said and as I experienced, about coaching that ex-players aren't good at and they have to learn. But one thing I think we naturally do have is empathy. I think we can look at a player and probably judge a little bit different to a fan. Like, we can understand, we can feel and what they're actually feeling and thinking. Like, I always think, at times every player will go through it in their career and they'll experience it, where someone will say, "Oh, like, it looks like you don't care," or "If there's a feeling you don't care." I've never met a player in my life that doesn't care. Of course they do. So it's about then understanding the player, building a relationship, which is also very important. So they trust you, and then you can understand the person and what they're feeling.
I remember watching you coached at under-18s against Cambridge, at the Emirates, where I think you might have fallen over when the winner went in, and it was very crazy.
Yeah,
I was just wondering, looking back at that Jack Wilshere as a coach, what's different to this one that's sitting here today?
Well, luckily I didn't get injured in that moment, but I remember it because it was like a weird goal, and I was like, "Oh, it's going in, no, it's not." And listen, I think Gary said it, like the love of the game. Like, I think it's so important for players, for coaches, for staff. Like the staff at the football club, that every staff at the football club has that. They have that love for the game. They do it because they really, really care about the club, about football. It's their life, and like I have that as well. Before anything, before I was a player, I was a fan, and I have that. And I want to transmit that to the players. I might have some moments where I nearly fall over, but I'm probably a little bit calmer now, I would say.
With that as well, is there any difference in coaching young academy players and men? Sorry, my voice is
right.
rubbish at the minute. And did the experience coaching in the academy help shape how you, I guess, coach more senior players as well?
Yeah, definitely. And I made this clear in the process that I've been on courses and my A license, my pro license, and when you're in that environment, it's very much you're made to think about who you are, what you are as a coach. And I said it before, I don't think you can copy and paste. So you have to really understand who you are, and that will then shape the way you coach. And of course, then the context is of the player, where the player's at. Age is okay, sometimes plays a factor, and of course we have some older experienced players in in this team, which I mentioned to you, like how important they are. They were excellent for me in Norwich when I got that job, and I see it the same. Like the older players, the experienced players, they have to live and breathe, and almost be your guy in the changing room who is demanding. He keeps standards high. He keeps everyone connected to what we're trying to achieve, and I will be having conversations with them guys, and but I'll be coaching them the same as the young guys.
And is this you going suit manager? Because I saw last year at Norwich it was more casual dress. So
Yeah, it's a
Are you going
secret.
suit? Huh?
Watch the game on Saturday, you'll see.
Hi Jack.
Hi.
I'm John West from the Times. You mentioned a lot of other high-profile former England players getting jobs. They tended to go straight into the Premier League, some in the Championship. It seems quite unusual to begin in League One now. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I suppose.
Do you obviously have no problems with it?
No, for me, before I would even think about going somewhere or speaking with somewhere, there's a few things that has to be there. And number one is the alignment. Number two is the family feel. But then number three, obviously, is the players and what they can do, what I think they can do, where we think we can get them to a level to be able to get out of this league. So it's the skill of the coach, in my opinion, is to go in and first of all, I believe in this group. I believe these players can do what we want them to do and what we're going to ask them to do. But as I said, there's so much more than that comes with it. It's the environment, and I'm completely comfortable. Where I was saying to the guys the other day, when you work in under 18s football, like part of the job is to say, yeah, okay, Ethan Wanieri's really good, Miles Lewis-Skelly really good, like, yeah, go to Mikel, but actually the other players, and looking at them and going, right, probably he's going to end up in the Championship, he's going to end up in League One, and like you build an understanding over the years, and also how you coach. Like it's important that them players, they experience what a League One will bring. So yeah, I don't have any concerns about the league or anything that I don't know about it, so I'm ready for that.
This club's obviously had a taste of the Premier League. It's also not that long ago since it's in the National League. Where should Luton be in your view?
Luton should be a club that is it represents the people of Luton. Should be a team that is aggressive on the front foot. It should be a team that uses this traditional, beautiful stadium. Everyone goes to stadiums now where the Emirates is massive and that, but you actually really feel what you feel in a stadium like this, and we have to use that. We have to buy into that. We have to get the fans to, when they look on the pitch, they're happy and they're proud of the team, that they're seeing shared behaviours between them. So that's the first and foremost. Then where can we get them? I've been clear that the goal this year is to get promoted. then I'm sure if that happens, we'll sit down in the summer and we'll make another plan that can be aggressive. Because I also feel like if you look at the group of players, there's some players and a lot of good players in here that can compete in the championship as well. So we're in a good position with that, and we need to get this first bit right, and then let's see where we can get.
And you will get a new stadium at some point. I'm not sure exactly when it is.
That's a question for Gary.
That's not when that is, but would that be? Is that part of the progress as well? A lot of people would be quite sad to see kind of where it goes. But
Yeah, I think while we have this, we've got to use it, and we have to experience that and maximise everything we can get out of that. Naturally, when a club grows and you get to the Premier League and there's more money and stuff, then of course you want to develop other things apart from just the playing squad, the stadium, the training ground. And one thing I can say is that, especially at the training ground, since I was there in 2021, there's been some massive investment. It's a good place, it's a good environment, the facilities are very good. And yeah, I'm not too sure about the stadium, but I know it's in the plans, and of course that's something that we want to get to in a really good place as a club, in the highest position we can be.
Just conscious of time, so if Mike and James want to.
Hi, Jack. There's always been a club that's quite close to United and kept an eye on them as well. So obviously we're here at the academy for a little bit and then moved away, but we always kind of kept an eye on how things are going.
Yeah, of course, and I've still got my mum and dad, they still live in Hitchin, my brother and sister live in Hitchin. I've got some mates that are season ticket holders. One used to have a box here. So yeah, I know the club well. I think people said to me about your connection with the club, and I link it back to, so I've got kids, I've got a 14-year-old, and I remember back to when he was 7 and like looking for a club for him, and how important that moment was to kind of shape who he is, and like when football is so important in your life as it is in my family, it does feel like that. It does feel like sometimes you probably can't remember as a 7-year-old, but I remember coming here. I remember coming here to watch games. I remember Dean Rastrick, the academy manager, breaking his heart when I signed for Arsenal. I remember all their moments, and there's definitely a connection, and I look forward to growing that even more.
She came here to watch games as well, is that?
Yeah. When you was it was actually a centre of excellence then, but we were fortunate enough to get tickets, and I've been here a few times to watch games.
Any players that stick out in your mind?
Remember Matthew Spring? Do you remember him? Remember Spring?
I played with him.
Yeah, I remember it. His left foot. I just remember like being in the crowd and seeing him. And, yeah.
And do you think it's also quite a good time to take over the club? Because I mean, results have been great this season, and the club is in the table where they want to be.
Yeah.
When things go right a bit, I mean, they got to the Premier League really quickly as well. So is it almost quite a good time to take over?
Yeah, I think there's some really, really good things, as I've mentioned, over the years that's been built here, but also this season there's been some good things that's going on, and listen, we have to keep that, like, we'll be clear that we have to keep whatever it is that is, we've got to keep that and build on it, but also understanding it's not the 1st of June, we don't have 6 weeks of pre-season, we got a game on Saturday that we want to win, and we want to be able to compete in it, and so we have to get to work. Thank you.
Question for Gary, actually. The last 4 managers have been young, hungry coaches, largely looking for their sort of first go at management, first team football. What is it about that profile that you look for and like?
I think it's a combination of things, James. Really, I think mentioned that word before. Energy is something that we really, I think it needs to be a quality that the manager has here at Luton. We're a unique football club in so many ways, and so somebody with some certainly fresh ideas and a slightly different approach usually does fit. But I will say this again, that actually that has generally worked with us when, and there are absolute great examples of this when it's been coupled with or partnered with an experienced head that comes alongside. Remember when Nathan Jones, we We employed him from Brighton, having not really managed a very almost an identical sort of pattern. And I'll probably say now, we're not looking for another Nathan Jones type. It's just the profile that really excites us as a football club. And I remember Nathan had never met Mick Harford, and Mick Harford wasn't working for the football club at the time, but we felt that a combination of Nathan and Mick was a bit of a marriage made in heaven, and it worked very well. And then over time, Paul Hart came in and took that responsibility too. So we're looking for, and what we found in Jack was absolute energy and passion, desire, ambition. All of those things they're aligned qualities to our own going forward. And with Chris, there's a not just experience, but an incredible calming influence over the whole situation. I think this is a combination that's going to work terrifically.
Chris, Jack's obviously a new manager, first job.
Yeah.
Your vast experience. What can you impart on Jack to help him in his role?
Well, I think it's a two-way relationship with regards to, I've been in the game a long time, many experiences as a manager, assistant, but it's great to be part of someone's journey, and someone embarking on the next chapter in their career. He's got a lot of knowledge already, and it's now about imparting that onto a group, and being balanced in how we do things. So, it's great to be here, great to be part of it, and it's important that we work well with the group, get to know the group as soon as we can. Jack will have some real core ideas and principles that won't change what he demands from the group on a regular basis. It's about understanding them as people, as players, and get to work as soon as we can, because it's all about match day. It's all about match day, but it's how we get there. We can't give them too much information to begin with, but it's about drip feeding what he wants to see day in, day out. He's spoken about behaviours. It's important to any coach to have those behaviours in your team, and then you develop as you go along. Like Jack said, we don't have 6 weeks. We have a week, a game, another week, a game. So it's important that we hit the ground running with respect to how we work. And it's exciting, because something like this energises me, energises him. He wants to coach, he wants to be on the grass with the players. If anything, with myself, it's my relationship always with players is good, because you have to create an environment that they want to come to. They want to work. They want to get better. And we'll do that with our staff. And that's something that's very important to me. And also, there'll be times where I might just have a quiet word with him with regards to how we approach things. But it's his team. It's his team. It's his club. I'm here to support him, support the players, support the wider staff, get to know people, get to know the crowd. I think that's important, that we understand what they want. It's very, very important for us to move forward. I've managed League One, my first job, and was successful, so hopefully I can replicate that. And it's a division that we're in, and I think we've got to understand, everyone, this is where we're at the moment. But we have a challenge that lies ahead, and we're going to embrace that.
All good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Nice. We'll head outside pitch show. It's not raining, is it, Johnny? It stopped.
Just take that mic, Joe. And yours, guys. Thanks.
Are you coming as well?
Yeah.
You coming as well, Chris?
Oh, I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe not. I've been told, yes.
We'll go down the tunnel and walk along with it.
Okay.
How are you?
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm good.
Thanks if you, if you
Thanks,
go
Jeff.
down
Yeah.
to step-
Okay. Oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Good to see you back. Yes, I know. I was actually here for the